The Los Angeles Rams are on the road in Philadelphia to take on the Eagles this big-time divisional round playoff game on Sunday, January 19th. My best bets are on the way. If you are new, my name's Austin. I appreciate you for tuning in. Typically, we'll hop into a recap of how I did the day before. However, we are recording this and posting this video before Saturday's divisional round games go off. Now, I have talked about this in previous videos. The wildcard weekend was a weekend to remember for us. We went 6-0. No one cares about that, but hey, pretty good week for us. Let's try to dominate in the postseason, and hopefully our Saturday picks did pretty well. If they didn't, hey, we have today to bounce back. Now, before we dive into things, I do want to note we did a separate video for every single game, so if you're looking for my thoughts on this game, Ravens versus Bills, go check that video out. I'll link them all down below. Should be posted right after this one drops. So again, go check out that. Depending on when you're watching this, we did a video on Commanders and Lions and Texans and Chiefs. But no one cares about those things. We need to dive into some winners and give you guys some picks. And hey, there's a pretty good, easy way for you guys to make some money to build up that bankroll. And that's on DraftKings. A reminder, bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Take advantage of the links down below. The second link in the description right below the video links for the other playoff games. You'll find it here. Go check it out. Bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets. Take advantage. Now, before we dive into how I feel about this game, winner or loser, I will first talk about two player props. Then we'll hop into those things with Logan. First player prop is going to be a guy that he had a record year, and you guys should know who he is. Saquon Barkley. Now, what am I taking for him? I'm taking his over, actually, 18.5 yards for his longest rush. Now, I'm not on his over in rushing yards or his over in rush attempts. I think both of those are solid angles. I'd rather take the over in longest rush. I got it at 18.5 at -115 on Bet365. It's at 19.5 on a couple different books, 18.5 a couple different. Hopefully, it doesn't come down to him landing on 19 on the dot, which he has done once this season. But at the end of the day, I really like Saquon to break off a big one. Could it come in the first quarter? First play? Sure. Could it come in the fourth quarter? Sure. Could it come in overtime if that's what the case is? Sure, I'll take it any way we can get it. All it takes is one carry over 19 yards, hopefully a 20-yard carry to cash all of us out. Now, Saquon Barkley obviously has had a career season, and first I want to dive into his other props. And obviously I feel like you can look at the other props, and we'll kind of look at them right here. Now, if you look at Saquon, we're looking at his rush attempts line here, 21.5. So pretty high line. They think Saquon's getting the ball a lot. Now, sure, you can take the over there. I don't care. You see the hit rate. It is what it is. Then you go to his rushing yards. You'll see 111.5. That is his line. Now, in my opinion, if he even sniffs that line, he's going to need at least a decently long carry, which I feel like those lines are inflated. This line's kind of stayed steady at 19.5 on some books. Like I said, I took it at 18.5. He only had this one game here where he had a 19-yard carry against Cincinnati. Hopefully that's not the case. Now, you see on the year over in 12 of 17 games, a pretty dang good hit rate. In terms of last week, though, he did go under only a 17-yard carry. But again, if we're looking at games where we think Saquon's getting the ball a ton, if you were to isolate by games that he sees, 15 or more carries, isolated that here, looking at a guy over in 11 of 15 games. So he's been really good. If you think he gets to 100 or more rush yards, which, at his line at 111.5, pretty odds, over in 10 of 12, his only two misses, 18 and 17 yards. So again, I really feel like this is a great spot for him. Additionally, if you dive into the matchup a little bit more, you'd see last week against the Packers right here, Packers, I'll go to this side of the screen. You'll see the Packers. They were actually a very good rush defense, 4.1 yards per carry, 6th lowest in the league. You have to find the Rams all the way up here, 9th most at 4.5, 4.6 yards per carry. Again, not a big difference there, but a sizable difference. So I think that could be the difference between getting a 17 or a 19-yard carry. I know the Rams are going to want to load the box, slow down Saquon, given he had a 255 yards against them in their first matchup. But again, I don't know if that's been their identity on defense, is stopping the rush or stopping the rushing attack. What they really want to do is rush the passer with their four guys up there, a great defensive line. But again, those guys are going to have to stop the run first. I don't know if they're able to do it. The Eagles obviously almost a touchdown favorite. I think Saquon gets going. Could take him into the second half. I think he at least gets it an over 18.5 yards for his longest rush. I really like this play. My second play kind of goes hand in hand with it, but not exactly. They can obviously both hit or both not hit. It is Jalen Hurts under in longest pass completion. It is 34.5 longest pass. That's -114 on FanDuel. Obviously, Jalen Hurts can have a monster day. He could throw for 400 yards. We just need his longest pass completion to be less than 34 yards. Last week, we took his under in pass attempts. This week, I'm on the under in longest pass. So he can complete 10 passes for 30 yards on the dot. I don't care, as long as he doesn't have a completion over 35 yards. Now, these are no fun to watch the whole game. They are a massive sweat. But I really like this one for Jalen Hurts, and I'll talk about that why right now. Now, if you look at Jalen Hurts, and we'll go back to longest pass, Matthew Stafford's at 34.5 or 35.5 if you care. Jalen Hurts, great start to the season. He was crushing the line, but he's under in 6 straight games. And last week, 28-yard completion. Obviously, we're in the playoffs. I don't know if we really want to take a ton of shots with Jalen Hurts. If we can get the ball, off a kickoff at the 30-yard line, we got to get 1 or 2 first downs. Then we're getting close to field goal range at the worst. Do we need to take shots down the field? I don't think so. And we also look at QBs against this team. We've seen Sam Darnold last week at 26 yards, Geno Smith 32, Kyler 34, so right on the hook, Aaron Rodgers, Brock Purdy, Josh Allen did go over, but again, 8 of the last 9 QBs the Rams have gone under this line. Now they have a pretty solid secondary. They're going to play their safeties deep, and maybe the safeties creep up to try to stop the run, but again, I don't know if that's the case until it's really burnt them. And I really think this pass rush will be able to get home on Jalen Hurts if he is trying to throw the ball. So he should be able to get the ball out of his hands quickly, try to limit that pass rush. We saw what happened with Sam Darnold last week, 9 sacks, can't afford to get behind the chains. I think we see some early passes, obviously running the football with Saquon, some Saquon runs, and if he's passing it, some play action, getting the ball out of his hands quickly before that pass rush gets home. So again, I really like these 2 picks. Saquon's over in longest rush, and you got Jalen Hurts under in longest pass, 2 plays that I think are winners. Now I'm going to dive into these spreads, and I'm going to bring on in Logan. We're going to dive into who we think wins and covers in this game. Take it away. Logan has returned to talk about this Rams and Philadelphia Eagles game. And as you guys know, he lives in Philly. He's the one that's in the trenches trying to get the pulse on Eagles Nation. But right now you got a interesting game here. The Eagles, obviously, pretty easy victory in round 1 in the wild card round against the Packers. Now they get a tougher task, in my opinion, against the Rams. Right now, they're sitting at 5.5 point favorites. The over under 43.5. If you've been watching the channel, you guys know what my pick's going to be. But Logan, I'll let you touch on what you would bet in this game. What are you feeling as a Eagles Nation trench member?
Yeah. Again, this one's going to be really interesting because there is some weather concerns, and the Sunday games do have weather. Both of them are outside. Both of them are up in the Northeast, where we're expecting some snow on Sunday. So we'll see how that does play out. We're recording this video a couple days in advance of that game. But I'm going to lay the points with the Eagles. I last week, I was on the Rams. I called the Vikings frauds with a capital F, and I looked pretty smart because I saw right through that. I said, this Rams team is so well against Minnesota. I don't think they match up as well against Philadelphia. And I've been waffling on that take. But I just thought now if you put in a little bit of weather element, I mean, those California boys, they're used to playing in SoFi where it's nice and warm, nice warm climate. I mean, here in Philadelphia, this is one of those games where I could really see the Eagles leaning back on Saquon Barkley. Look, when these teams already matched up, Saquon went wild. I mean, I forget his final stat line. I just remember him running absolutely wild. And that really would concern me if I was on the Rams plus the points, because if you can't stop Saquon, you can't take away what the Eagles do the best. I mean, you can't do that. You're in for the trouble, especially playing on the road already. You're kind of behind the 8 ball there. I think we're going to see Jalen Hurts be able to hit his guys, Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, guys like that. I really do like what I've been seeing from that Rams secondary, but this is the ultimate test because those guys are different. I mean, they know how to scheme them open. Sam Darnold, completely different quarterback than Jalen Hurts, what they saw last week. This is a huge step-up spot for the Rams, and I just don't see them really being able to keep this one within that kind of touchdown range. I think if Philadelphia is going to win this game, it will be by 7 or more. So I'm going to go ahead and lay the points with the Eagles. Not my favorite game out of the 4 this weekend, but I'd have to lay it with Philly.
Yeah, 255 yards rushing for Mr. Saquon in the first matchup. How do you feel about AJ Brown reading the book on the sidelines?
I mean, the city loves it. I mean, I saw that book was like trending as far as people going and buying those copies like that. I mean, it's a little disrespectful. I'm not gonna lie, because when you crack open the book, you're like, I'm interested in anything that isn't the game. I've been told he's read before on the sidelines. I heard that's not a new thing. Whatever keeps him motivated, I'm fine with that, because I love to see AJ Brown playing at peak athleticism. Again, who is in that Rams secondary is really gonna be able to take away AJ Brown though? Because I don't see it. I mean, if they get those deep explosive plays over the top, like Minnesota wasn't able to get last week. That's really I could see the Eagles kind of spreading out that defense for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this really opens up the world to some more ad opportunities. I mean, we think about this book going absolutely viral. We think about Marshawn Lynch back when he was eating his Skittles. Skittles went nuts with that. They were always promoting him. Very interesting. We'll see how this develops over the next few seasons or so. But as you guys know, my pick will be the first half under. When I see the Eagles game, I take the first half under. It is a money printing machine. This week it's at 22.5. We've talked about it before. The Eagles, although they did score 10 points in the first quarter last week, that was the only point scored in the first half. Their defense has been electric. If this game is a snowy game, I can't guarantee there's snow out there. We are recording this on Friday, but I can't guarantee, Logan, is that it's going to be pretty dang cold regardless of what's going down. So either way, I think it's a slow-paced game. We see the Eagles lean on the run game. As you talk about, the Rams defense has been good. They're good at getting pressure. If they can get pressure on Jalen Hurts and he can't escape on maybe a second down and like 8, we could see a 3rd and long, then we could see some field goals in the red zone. Either way, it's going to be tough sledding to score some points in this game. So on both sides of the ball. So I like the first half under at 22.5. We've seen the Eagles be a pretty slow playing team, especially in the first half. Then the second half, we see some adjustments made. I could see that happening with the Rams too on their offensive side of the ball. So again, I like the first half under in this game, and I think it's a great pick. So those are our favorite picks for this big time game. As a reminder, we did a separate video for every single game. Go tap into those if you haven't checked them out. They're all linked on the screen, and we'll have a separate video for the big game and the late night window. Ravens versus Bills. That video should be live soon. We'll see you guys back again in the next one. Peace.